you need to be alone, but I can't. Don't you understand? I know it's confusing, but yes, I am kind of avoiding you. I'm sorry, but using social distancing as an excuse is the easiest way to get away with not hanging out with you as much. Hey, don't get me wrong, I do love you. You do mean so much to me, and I appreciate everything you do. It's just, I need some time to myself to really see the bigger picture rather than continuing on with the tiny details, not checking if I'm wrong. Okay?
Dylan, I used to like you, you know, but you've changed, and I mean a lot. Like, remember when we used to play pretend every day in the summer when we were little? Or when we would sit on top of your bunk bed reading Jack and Annie? Yeah, those were the days. But you've hurt me so much that I just can't seem to care anymore. Like what you think of me, well, actually, that's a lie. I just wish you would talk to me anyway, except negatively. I mean, I know you're going through a lot now. We don't even really see each other, but that's the point. We still live in the same house, for crying out loud. You're busy. I get that. I'm busy too. But the world doesn't revolve around you. It revolves around me. Kidding. I don't know. I mean, if you met me, I'm not that annoying, right? Sure, I talk a lot, but it's only important things coming out of my mouth, okay? See, the truth about having more than one sibling is that you can't like them all the same no matter what. And I know you're lying if you do say that. Because I have a favorite and it's not you. Sorry, but you're not a very nice person. Evan's my favorite. Because he's the sweetest boy and he sure doesn't bully me like some people. So suck it up and be like the big brothers in the books that are overprotective and are your best friends. Thank you.
Everybody has a safe place where they can just relax and have fun. It's different for everybody. It could be a thing or a place. And for me, that's my bed. I feel safe on my bed. And whenever I'm mad, sad, anything, I just lay on my bed and I instantly feel better. Even when I'm happy, sometimes I have the tendency to get too excited. But once I go to my bed and when I get up, I'm calm and collected and I just feel better. Even when I'm feeling less productive, I go to my bed. That doesn't help and I get less productive, but that's a problem for another time. The point is that I'm comfortable on my bed. I don't have to act like anything or act like I feel something. I can just be me. And when I close my eyes, all my worries and my problems just disappear. And I feel alone, but in a good way. The good, special type of alone.
Why do we have to leave? There's nothing wrong with this house. Okay, besides that, I don't want to move away from our neighbors. What if the new neighbors are vampires? What do we do then? Okay, sure, that's not very possible, but they could still be mean. Fine, I'll go, but only if I get my own room. I do? I mean, whatever, no biggie. Whoa, it's huge. But I don't care. And the backyard, there's a pool. But, you know, whatever, it's just a hole with water in it. Do I get my own room? I do? Can we paint it yellow? Can I keep all my toys in there? Can I have a pink butterfly blanket on my bed? Really? Okay, maybe this house isn't too bad. Let's go inside. What do you mean we're not moving in for another week? So I can't sleep here tonight? Okay, well, I guess I'm excited for when I can. Maybe Riley and Allie can come over. That would be fun.
I would like to thank you for telling me something that I did not want to hear. Those words that you said to me have really stuck. You probably don't even remember, but I definitely do. As a kid who grew up in a world of competition and judgment, those words had huge impact on me. I think about what you said a lot, and how I don't want to be what you believed I was. I am not complacent. You basically told me that I didn't work hard enough, and that I was settling for mediocrity. I don't really remember everything that I did when I was 10 years old, but I do know that I would go to dance class almost every day, and I would rehearse for multiple hours, at least 4 days a week. I spent most of my childhood at that dance studio, so for you to tell me that I didn't work hard, I was shocked. I was completely confused. I would expect that from my other dance teachers. But you're the only one who I really looked up to. I felt comfortable in your dance class. I enjoyed your dance class. But your words made me realize that maybe I shouldn't be a part of such a toxic environment. I knew that I worked hard, but I guess my teachers didn't appreciate that. That is when I realized that I didn't want to continue in competitive dance. So I thank you for letting me know how I actually felt. And I thank you for telling me that my time could be spent somewhere else. And now I do theater.
When thinking back to my childhood and remembering who's impacted my life this far, I'll be honest, one of the very first names who comes to mind is Harry Styles. Don't worry, I won't be boring you for the next 2 minutes about Harry Styles, though I could definitely consistently talk about him for at least an hour straight. He is a celebrity and wasn't nearly as directly impactful to my life as many other people, one being my childhood nanny, Nora. Sure, it's really cheesy, but she really was like a second mom to me. I mean, we would spend every single day together, and almost pretty much all of my childhood memories are associated with her. My brother and I still get to see her a couple of times a year. She sometimes comes to our house and stays with us while my mom goes on trips for work, or we have sleepovers at her house. And she still invites us to the birthday party she has at her house. We get to meet her huge family and tons of siblings from Mexico. They always get so surprised when we can speak to them in Spanish. I didn't even have to take Spanish in school because Nora taught me from the time I was an infant, lower than you can even see. My brother and I were 2 and 3 years old and speaking full sentences in Spanish. Just one of the many things she taught me and my brother. I tell her all the time that someone needs to make a movie out of her life. When she worked with us, we were too young to have tons of serious conversations about her life, but when we see her now, I realize how interesting her life is. She tells us about her childhood in Mexico and how she had to move to the US as a kid, younger than my age now, to provide for her giant family. As a privileged kid, I realized what so many people have to go through just to survive. She also told me of my adventurous brother's multiple accidents that she had to handle from the time I was too young to remember. I can't imagine how traumatized she was when working with us. Every day was different. Some days my brother would crack his head open on the pavement and Nora had to call 911, and other days we would go get ice cream as a happy family to celebrate placing well at a swim meet. Sure, these little things don't really matter at all, other than the 911 call. That was very important. Sure, the rest of it doesn't really matter that much, but having someone who cared about me throughout my childhood and was by my side throughout everything just made a huge difference in my life. Whether it was my dad moving across the country or just a problem with my homework, she was there with me. And those little things mattered so much to a girl who didn't yet understand how the world worked. While I love to talk about how much Harry Styles has impacted my life, he wasn't really there for me like Nora was. Now that I think about it, he wasn't really there for me at all. Thanks, Harry.
Hi, I'm Shaye, and I'm here to tell you a story about my Barbie water bottle. So, when I was little, I was totally obsessed with Barbie in every way, shape, and form. And I was also totally obsessed with boys in every way, shape, and form, but you know, that's not the point. So, when I was little, I had this pink Barbie water bottle. Carried it everywhere. Wouldn't let it out of my sight. If it got broken, I didn't care. Also, note that I was a very clumsy kid. So that ended up getting broken. And I didn't care. I started crying until my mom gave it back to me. With it, like, she tried to tape it up. Didn't really work, but you know. So, I'm getting ready for preschool. I'm walking down the stairs and I trip on the carpet. Boom, face smack into the wood. Water bottle smack onto the thumb, cuts the bottom of my nail off. Boom, nail's gone. It's no longer attached. I'm in hysterics. I'm crying my eyes out, pulling out all the waterworks as a little toddler does. And my mom's looking at me like, Shaye, I'm so sorry. She's wrapping up my poor little thumb. I'm so sorry, Shaye, you don't have to go to school anymore. That makes me want to cry more. I wanted to go to school. That has changed. But I wanted to go to school then. Because there was this Sunday school student teacher, let me rephrase. And I thought he was super cute. Little did I know that I was not going to see him in the middle of the freaking week. It was Wednesday. But I wanted to go anyways. So, my mom takes me to school, because that's the only way I'll stop crying. She takes me to school, I get into the room, and the teacher's like, oh my gosh, Shaye, you're here, are you okay? And I'm like, lady, please. I'm just trying to see my made-up boyfriend, as I do. And so they sit me at the big girl table and everything with my little coloring page, and then my whole class is sitting on the floor in circle time. And I'm thinking, I'm the absolute baddest of the bad because they're all sitting on the floor like peasants, and I'm just like coloring up here with my high and mighty coloring page and my crayon. And the teachers are like, guys, Shaye's here today. She missed us so much. She's hurt and she missed us so much that she just had to come. I'm sitting there like, yeah, that was not the reason, lady. Whatever helps you sleep at night, whatever floats your boat, I guess. As you can probably tell, I don't like her too much. Like, who thought it was okay for her to force me to keep the door open when I was trying to use the bathroom? I was not trying to have some creepy little boy watching me go to the bathroom. It's weird. Anyways, back to the story. I did not see that boy ever again, might I add. So, moral of the story, don't let boys control your life. Even when you're 4, I should have learned that by then. So, I don't know what's up with that. Come on now!
Friend. What an interesting term. A friend is what? A person that you like? I liked Caroline, but sometimes she made it hard. Yet Lillian never gives me reason not to like her. Lillian is my friend, but why? Well, maybe a friend is someone who's always there for you. Caroline was there for others, but not always me. Lillian is always there for me, like when I lost my friends, and she wasn't even my friend yet. So maybe a friend is someone who has changed your life. Lillian has definitely changed my life. A few years ago, I got into an argument with Caroline, resulting in the end of the relationship between me and all of my friends. One of the girls kept telling her they didn't like me. Feeling the pressure of her other friends, Caroline told me she didn't want to be my friend anymore. I felt empty. Lillian let me sit with her at lunch, and with another girl named Allie. Such a small gesture, I know.
It meant a lot to me. At first I was quiet. It felt like I wasn't supposed to be sitting there. But I eventually started talking, and I had found new friends that were so loving and so kind. So, a friend can be many things. But a friend to me is someone who's changed my life.
Do I know Wavo in real life? No, I don't. I know what he looks like, his age, what state he lives in, but I've never met him in person. I don't really need to. I'm hoping we can meet one day, and maybe with our other friends in the group that live all the way up in Canada. What if my parents find out they don't know him in real life? Oh, well, they know. They think it's cool. My friend Rude introduced me to him, and I don't think he would show me anyone that could be dangerous or anything like that. Wavo's told me he's over in Mississippi and lives in an apartment with his girlfriend and 2 dogs. Yeah, he has. He's graduated from high school and he went to med school. He's actually a really hardworking and cool guy. Oh, right. Wavo introduced me to his friend group from Canada. They're all really cool guys. Unfortunately, one of them is dealing with cancer currently, but he told us that he will be better soon. Yeah, of course, I've never met them either, but like I said, I hope to one day. I think it would be really cool to meet all of them at an event or something like that. I hope it'll always be like this, and I'll be able to talk to them like I would with in-person friends.
It started off with me and my friend Matthew in a castle armory. Me and him weren't super close, but we did have one thing in common: a love for chocolate cake. Anyway, we were strapping up in armor, not really knowing what we were doing or why we were doing it, but still feeling that this was all completely normal. All of a sudden, a booming voice comes from outside: "Get out here now!" So we ran out, and when I got outside, I saw a huge coliseum with a referee on the other end. All along the sides were archers putting the bows at the ground. The referee started going on about running to the other side, and if we get there first, we get glory and prizes and whatever. I'll be honest, I wasn't really paying attention. All I could focus on was the ginormous cake behind her, 20 feet tall and tons of frosting. And I wanted it. All of a sudden, the referee shouts, "Go!" and we're all sprinting towards that cake. Now, here's the tricky part. Those archers I was talking about earlier, yeah, they started firing at us. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought we got me. Anyway, you get the point. It was a real mess. I mean, everyone was mad. Oh, there goes George. Oh, Fred too? I started freaking out, thinking all of this for a piece of cake, and then I remembered, it's cake, and kept running. I stopped seeing Matthew a while back. Oh well, more cake for me, I guess. I crossed the finish line, and there was tons of cheering and applause, and yet my heart suddenly drops. A sob escapes from my throat. I am in complete and utter shock and horror. I scream out, "No!" Right in front of me is Matthew, his entire body bulging at the seams of his clothes. The cake is gone. Matthew reaches down for the final crumb after he massacred the cake, and before it can stop him, he eats it and explodes and dies, and everyone explodes and dies. Oh, this was, of course, all just a dream.
Everyone says that being alone is having no one else present. The funny thing is, though, I can be in a room full of people and still feel alone. I feel isolated all the time now since we have to wear masks and social distance. And I get why this is a necessity to extinguish the pandemic, but I miss seeing my friends and I miss going places. Do you remember we didn't go to Six Flags all the time because we had season passes? I do, because the imagery sticks out in my mind. Adrenaline would rush through my veins as I would glide down the roller coaster. It was such a magical moment. It makes me sad that we can't go anymore. However, social distancing and quarantine has made me realize how much personal space I actually need. Like when Aaron will come bother me while I'm doing homework, I didn't realize how much personal space I actually needed. It's cute, I guess, but it's really annoying when I'm trying to get stuff done. So all in all, even though quarantine is tough and we can't necessarily go do things that we might be used to doing, quarantine has made me realize how much personal space I actually need.
So here's the thing. I drink a lot of Monster. And if you know me personally, you'll probably know that because I show up to school with a Monster without fail almost every single day. So because of that, I have a growing and very large collection of Monster tabs, which that is recycling. So I am doing the environment a favor in my pursuit of staying awake through artificial sugar, perhaps? Yeah. So I'm hoping one day to make chainmail out of them, maybe as a, souvenir of my high school career, but that's beside the point. Truth is, I am an expert at sleep deprivation for various reasons, two of the biggest ones being executive dysfunction and schoolwork. However, I must go to school anyway and do my little duty as a student, or a cog, in this capitalist hellscape, fueled only by spite and caffeine. It's a pretty vicious cycle, especially while I'm taking AP classes. So drinking Monsters and saving the tabs like dumb little punk I am is what gets me through the day most of the time. It's something some of my classmates give me weird looks for, or they joke with me about, and it's something I've become pretty known for. So I like to think of myself as the somewhat infamous local caffeine fiend. And honestly, as weird as it may be, it does lead to some funny occurrences. Like the time I stayed up for almost 60 hours straight and then went to choir UIL the same day. You see, I had gotten sick and I had this project to do for AP World History, and I stayed up late to finish it because it was quite a big project, and also, as I said before, executive dysfunction. So, long story short, I stayed up for 60 hours straight. I didn't get the project done, but I needed an extension, and I had choir UIL the day that it was supposed to be due. So, I chose an energy drink in less than 10 minutes altogether, and pretty much blacked out. I don't remember quite a lot from that day. Basically, I remember, walking with my friend and talking at a mile a minute and my heartbeat racing faster than I've ever felt it race before, and stuttering while asking for an extension from my teacher. And then there's a very large gap until me and my friend were on the bus losing our minds over this picture of a crying cat that I'd captioned with the phrase "we snaw." I must have passed out the moment I got home because I don't remember anything else after that, but I've been told I was a menace that day, and it's a pretty funny story to tell. But yeah. So this is my little tribute to Monster over the years, because the moral of the story is that caffeine has been my savior throughout my high school career. And I'm pretty sure it's part of me at this point. My blood content has to be at least 90% caffeine at this point. How am I not dead yet? I genuinely have no clue.
Childhood is weird, man. Kids are weird. Can we all just think of something crazy we did as a kid, or maybe a really embarrassing moment? Because yeah, I had a lot of those. One of my earliest childhood memories has to be of my brother. He's 2 years older than me. I mean, he was cute, outgoing, sporty. Everybody loved him. But to me, he was a monster. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all love our siblings or whatever, but no, we don't. You actually like your sibling, then they've got to be your step sibling, because no one likes their siblings. Braden is his name. He was always pinching me, chasing me. I think he even sat on my face a few times. This kid was straight up disrespecting me, and something had to be done. So on a nice warm day, probably in the summer, I was maybe 7 or 8, maybe even younger. And it was only just before noon, but Brayden, he was already up to mischief. He was just acting like he was gonna get me, like tackle me, murder me, I don't know. I can only describe it like running from the boogeyman, running for your life. So to get away, I ran outside. I climbed up to our swing set, a little high house with a ladder leading up to the slide and swings attached. I climbed up that ladder and I just sat there at the top, and I didn't know what I was gonna do when my parents came outside and saw my dead body on the ground. But a couple minutes later, maybe seconds, Brayden comes running out the door with a huge maniacal smile plastered on his face, and he just starts climbing up that ladder rung by rung. And as soon as his head came above the top plank, I just bam, right in the nose, like full force right there. And I mean, it was just like time seemed to stop. I'm not joking. We just stared at each other thinking, what just happened? And then it all came rushing back. His lips started quivering, and his eyes started to water, and he hopped off that ladder so fast and ran inside. And the best part about it is that I don't even think I got in trouble. Like, maybe I did, but I don't really remember anything after that day. And it was just like grand. For like a moment, I like stood up to this bully. You know, I still don't like confront him very much to this day, but for this 1 second, it was like I was the big brother and he was my subject.
During quarantine, I felt the constant urge to be alone. Going out terrified me. My fear had nothing to do with corona, it was people. I hardly talked to people, so the thought of having constant interactions with others shook me to my core. Isolation was addicting. It was like a habit that not only did I not want to break, but it was hard to be broken. I hated the idea of keeping a smile on my face or becoming emotionally exhausted, but like isolation, falling back into the path of pretending to be happy is somewhat inevitable. During isolation, I didn't depend on anyone else. I could be alone and not worry about others, and in a way sounds selfish, but it's also essential. Having no time to worry about yourself and only focusing on others destroys you, which is something I had to learn the hard way. Isolating myself wasn't negative. I cleaned up my mental health for a while, and I learned that I should do what makes me happy and to not worry about what others think. That sounds like something everyone tells you, but to honestly believe it, I feel as though you have to learn for yourself. Isolation taught me things about myself that I'd never thought about before, and it was refreshing to consider I didn't know myself as well as I thought I did.
I was so scared because it wouldn't stop choking me. I could hear it talk to me like I was some kind of puppet, and that thing was trying to control me. It still happens sometimes to this day. All I want to do is get out of here. I was sleeping peacefully until black, and I flipped over. I was so confused, and I knew I was dreaming because I was aware of every detail. But then I just felt something crawl on top of me and press on my chest. I couldn't breathe, and I was trying to break free, but I couldn't. Then it started talking to me in this whispery, distorted voice and grabbed me tighter. And I woke up. This was probably the scariest moment in my life, and it wasn't even real. Right?
You were the one who truly saved and ruined me. You changed me in a way I could never describe right. You caused me so much pain and regret. But at the same time, you showed me love and true friendship. You were different from everyone else. You were like no other. You were my best friend, and no one could change that, no matter how hard they tried. They called you toxic and careless, but I always saw the best in you. I cared for you, and you cared for me. I think. You would come and go as you please, but it was fine, because in the end, I was always the one you needed, and I was the only one who understood you. Please come back! You mean the universe to me. You would always tell me things that no one else would ever tell me. I felt loved, but at the same time, I felt forgotten. I'm pretty sure. I don't know whether I loved you or our friendship, but I just know I had the best time with you. I did? Our friendship was something odd. It was something someone wanted, but at the same time, they tried to avoid. You were the cure to something I never knew I had. You were the person I needed. Where are you? There were some times where your face would disappear from my memory, but I can never forget about you. And you can never forget about me. Right?
I know what you're thinking. Why is he crying like that? Why is he being so annoying? Well, I was impersonating my little sister who is crying over a situation that already happened. Let me rewind a little bit for you. Picture this. Sunday morning, I hear my sister getting up from bed and my mom telling me to get up. I got up, brushed my teeth, played with my Spider-Man action figure, bugged my sister a little, you know, the usual things. Time passed and it was time to get ready for church. My mom hanged my clothes and I got all dressed up. She went to go get ready in the restroom while my dad is getting ready in his room. My sister and I are both in the same room putting on our shoes. And then I realized that my mom forgot to give me my socks. So I told my sister that I was going to climb the big drawer with all our clothes on it with the TV on top. She said, "Are you sure that's a good idea? You're gonna fall and get a big boo-boo." I told her that it was fine because I'm a strong boy who has big biceps. So I got started. I opened the first shelf. I stepped on it. I told myself, okay, you're good, you're good. I opened the next one. I stepped on it. It started to shake a little, but it was fine. I needed to prove to my little sister that I was strong. I opened the next one. As soon as I stepped on it, boom! I fell and everything collapsed on top of me. My mom saw the whole thing from her restroom mirror, so she ran towards me, yelled for my dad's help. They both lifted up the drawer, and all that was left was the TV laying on my little head while I was crying. I mean, laughing, because that's what strong boys do when they get hurt. My dad lifted up the TV and he saw that I was gushing blood from my head. So cool! He decided to hold a t-shirt to my forehead to stop the blood while we were going to the hospital. On the way there, my sister started crying. I was very annoyed. Like, you're not the one gushing blood out of your brain. Anyways, we got there and they glued my forehead together. I know, right? So cool! If I really wanted to, I could try pulling really, 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 really hard and my brain could open. Well, that leads us to now. Oh wait, she stopped crying. Be quiet! She's so annoying. Why does she have to pull the "I told you so" card?
Hey Mom, I wanted to talk to you about something that's been on my mind. Well, ever since my brother Wells went off to college at A&M, I felt awful about never getting to know him. I've been around him since I was a baby, and I used to see him every day, so don't you think me and him should have a closer bond? We're complete strangers to each other. Sorry for raising my voice, Mom. I just miss him. When I look at other people with their siblings, deep down, I'm jealous. But I do know I still have a chance. When he comes back home next, I'll talk to him. I promise. Thank you, Mom.
Well, I was walking towards an open field with my friends, and I mean, for the most part, I was pretty unbothered with the many laws we were going to be breaking. Trespassing on private property, setting off illegal fireworks, potentially burning down a neighborhood full of 8-year-old kids. I mean, the list just goes on. But we didn't care. Well, I didn't care. I mean, why would I care? You're lying to me if you're telling me you never had... You're lying to me if you're telling me you never had the urge to do something that would disappoint your parents. I mean, it's not like I'm destined to be something that great anyway. The bar has been set so low by every single adult all my life. Why would I ever want to raise it? Sorry. Back to the story. We're setting off fireworks in some neighborhood by the elementary school, which, in hindsight, is such a bad idea because the cops are going to be called when moms hear it sounds like gunshots, and they're supposedly safe neighborhood. Lighting up a firework was different from what I imagined. It went way faster than I thought. I mean, before my mind could even catch up to what I was doing, it was off. And it wasn't like those 4th of July fireworks. But when it went off, wow. It was the best thing I'd ever seen. If you were there, you'd understand. And it's not like I did it because I'm a bad kid. I want to do the right thing. But when you're not going to amount to anything all your life, why bother trying? It was a bad idea. I mean, it was a terrible idea. I feel awful, and I won't do it again. But right before those fireworks went up, I just wanted to stay like that. I just wanted to stay like that forever.
My room is one of a kind. It's mine and mine only. No one can see me cry like a rainstorm, or yell or get mad like the sun's gonna explode, except my stuffed animals
and my posters that scare me when I'm half asleep, so I have to turn on my LED lights to make sure no one's there. But this one time, my poster fell right on my face, and I screamed like a normal person would. But luckily, my LED lights remote was right beside me. So I turned it on, and it was only my shaman poster, but still, it scared me. And that's a room that scare me when I'm half asleep or make me feel safe.
Mom! I had a really scary dream. I was in this forest at night and I couldn't really see where I was going, and I saw this house with the lights on, so I knocked on the door but no one answered. I went in and I looked around. It was a really weird house with a bunch of spider webs and creepy skulls and stuff, and there was this broom in the corner too, and I got kind of scared and I tried to run away, but then I heard a loud noise and I turned around and there was this old lady, and she had green skin and a pointy hat, and I think she was a witch, only she kind of looked like you. The witch lady started laughing at me, and she dumped all of her dirty clothes right on me, and then she made me do her laundry, and I kept on crying, but she wouldn't even let me stop. Hey! You promised you wouldn't laugh! Stop it! It's not funny!
I mean, I still think family is one of the most important things, whether it is or isn't the easiest thing in the world, and they can hurt us a lot. One of my family members, they hurt me a lot, even though they didn't know, nor was it their fault in like any way. It was my dad. He had gotten really, really sick, and I hated seeing him like that. I know you're probably thinking that it sounds dumb and selfish, but I just couldn't stand it. Every morning, I watched him not being able to eat or even speak. Every day for 6 months, we had to go and drive and get radiation done. And the hardest part is that he had to take over 20 different medications a day. He always had doctor's appointments, surgeries. He even had to fly to a special doctor once a month. And the whole time, I had to show up to school with a smile on my face, like everything was fine. Like I was fine. It was really hard when he was having a surgery and I had to be at school. I mean, I obviously wanted to go, but my parents didn't want me to miss too much school. I didn't really tell anyone about any of it because I didn't want anybody to feel bad for me or something, but now looking back, I probably should have talked to someone, but it was just so easy to pretend like everything was fine.
I walked into the preschool and it was Wednesday. It was raining because when I walked into the classroom, every single kid was wet. Flashback to that same morning at my house. Eleni, come on, we have to go. Where's my backpack? It's in the car, okay? Just come on. But that rushing would be the bane of my existence. I walked in, put my bag in the cubby after my mom dropped me off. The day goes by in an orderly fashion, and then comes snack time. Okay, kids, we have a surprise for you today. With your raisins, you get apple juice. Now you may be asking yourself, why would apple juice even be a surprise? Well, this story is why. After snack, I would put all the kids down for a nap. Lay down, fall asleep, until boom, I jump up. Miss Martin, can I use the restroom? She wasn't even in the room, so no response. In this room, there are 2 restrooms. Walk over, jiggle the first door handle, nothing. Second door handle, nothing. Both doors were locked, and by kids that can't even wipe themselves properly. Now my little toddler brain was panicking. I was pacing myself, as you do, and then my light blue jeans turned dark blue. I solemnly walked over to my teacher. Miss Martin, I didn't. Oh, sweetie, let me grab you a change of clothes. She walks over to my backpack my mom packed for me that same morning and comes back with nothing in her hand. Well, nothing nothing besides a pink princess blanket. You heard me right. A pink princess blanket. And then it got worse. You may be asking yourself, Self, how did this get worse? I had to wear the blanket over my jeans. So there I was, a toddler, walking around wearing a pink princess blanket, smelling like pee. Imagine that. Also, I'm the reason apple juice isn't served anymore.
When I was 5, I remember looking at the faucet and thinking to myself, if the cold water's being a boy and the hot water's being a girl, then what happens when you turn on both faucets? This was when I was 5. Then, when I was 7, I remember asking my brother and his friend if they thought that I was a girly girl or a tomboy. I remember that they thought that I was a girly girl. I hated it when they said that because for some reason it just felt so fundamentally wrong. 3 years later, I was in 5th grade. Me and my friend had been starting a game of pretend by describing what our characters would be like. I said that my character would use they, them pronouns. I'm not sure what prompted that, but I knew that I loved how it made me feel. 3 more years later, and I finally came to terms with who I was. It was a hard few years, but I finally had an answer to that question from 8 years ago. I realized that I'm what happens when you turn on both the hot water and the cold water. I am non-binary.
Hey, look over here, man. What's this? I asked for a quality sandwich. What is this? It's not what I asked for, you see. Look at this oat nut bread, okay? Look at this terrible sandwich, right? I'm a man of honor. You need to treat me as such, okay? So, look. You may have toasted it like I asked you to, but the bread, it sags all the way down to the plate whenever I hold it up. And look at this crust. The crust is nothing but ash. So, you must have done a poor job. But most importantly, of course, this is oat nut bread. Take a look around this room, will you? Look at all these people in the room. Not one of them likes oat nut bread. I bet you feel stupid right now, huh? I'm not in the mood for this, alright? Alright, so, you better take this back, or there'll be severe consequences, alright? I hold severe power. You don't want to mess with me. Alright? I will crush you like the pathetic, tiny, insolent little bug you are, okay? So, you take this back, you redo it, you give me a good bread, good sandwich, things will be alright. If not, there are gonna be severe consequences to pay, alright? Have a nice day.
12 years ago, my parents got you at a store somewhere in the world. You then became my stuffed animal friend ever since I was a toddler. And for that, I can't thank you enough. You've been by my side for every thunderstorm, argument, and worldwide pandemic. I even forgot about you, but you returned back to my side, like you always have. There was nothing stopping us from conquering the world, or at least my house. You mean the world to me, and I can't see my life without you. I could complain to you and even cry on you. You never minded, or at least I hope. I remember when I got news of my maternal grandmother's death. That's when I cried and cried like there was no tomorrow. All I could do was hug you, like I had hugged my grandma. You reminded me of her, and how soft she was, and how warm her arms felt. I could hug you all night long and fall asleep. You've always been there. That all changed when my mother started spring cleaning. She said it was too old for stuffed animals, but I argued. She took you from me and threatened to throw you in the garbage. When she held you over the stinky, disgusting garbage, then all my memories I had had of you had flashed into my mind. I then, heroically, put myself in front of my own mother, my very, very, very scary mother, and took you back. I said, if you're gonna take her, then take me. She then scoffed and left us. You're never gonna grow up, were the words she said to me before she went to go sit on the couch and watch TV. That may sound hyperbole, but that's really how it happened. I swear. Anyways, thanks for always being by my side, even when my mom threatens to kill you. To Daisy the dog.
Whenever things got too stressful or scary, I would go for a run on the treadmill. Never would I go for a run in the neighborhood. I would always go in the garage, that way I can open the garage door just a little bit. I liked it that way. The darkness around me calmed me, but at the same time I had a little tunnel of light to run to. Running helped to clear my head. I didn't think about all the things stressing me out. Instead, I stepped onto the treadmill and started off with a nice jog. One foot in front of the other, steady, slow. I listened to different types of music. If I was feeling stressed, I would listen to calming music. I picked up the pace a little bit, knowing I have nothing to worry about. One foot in front of the other, 1 mile. If I was feeling sad, I would listen to motivational music. Or if I was feeling angry, I would listen to loud music. With the music piercing my ears, I feel like screaming. I start to sprint. 1 foot in front of the other, 2 miles. Whatever it was, I just focused on the lyrics and the beat of the music rather than the problems that awaited me inside the house. After I was done running, I spent a good amount of time stretching. Just feeling the sweat pour down my face made whatever problems easier after my shower.
No, this isn't happening. Not again. I'm not leaving this place, not until I say so. For once, I'd love for us to move to a town and not leave in a couple of years. Why can't we just stay here? We were all happy, right? Well, I was. Do I not matter? You're constantly reminding me that it's a fresh start and I can reinvent myself, but I'm happy to be who I am, where I am. Moving to a bigger city is nice, but it won't have the same charm as this place. Should I even try when I get there? What's the point if I just have to leave behind my new relationships? I know that in time I'll just be another gust of wind in the air, but this place will forever stay with me. It's over now. I need to move on. There's no use fighting anymore, is there? I might as well keep a suitcase packed for the next time you feel like we should leave. Better yet, I won't make connections, so it won't hurt the next time we move on. I'm ready. Nothing could make this any worse, so it's best to jump in while I'm at this point. I'll take you up on that offer to a fresh start, Mom and Dad. Let's just hope that I find my place here.
So, my friend Gunnar was everything to me. He caused some of my highest highs, making life so vivid and wonderful, every day a new adventure, but also caused some of my lowest lows that absolutely destroyed me. He matter to me, more tthan anything or any in the entire universe. At least that's what it seemed at the time. Like how gravity keeps us centered and down to the ground, Gunnar pulled me to reality. I mean, he saved me from feeling like life isn't worth meaning and that all of this has no purpose. He gave me a meaning, something that I cherish, a meaning where I was someone important with someone who actually cared. We first met when we were paired together for a little book project in English, as you do. We listened to the same 10 Christmas songs play on repeat in the middle of November when the air was still so humid and not at all in the holiday mood, but I don't think either of us cared much. That book took us so long, mattered so much to us, but I lost that book. It's hidden in the basement of my old house. All those memories of playing on the playground, getting rocky dust all over our charter school uniforms gone with it. All that childhood innocence. And I remember our fights. Though not frequent, they'd still happen. I remember silence from one another, both of us too proud to give up. There were days where I'd just sit in my room and contemplate if I changed or if he'd changed, if neither of us had ever met, would we still be where we are today? There was one day where I got really bad. He came over, but it was so difficult to explain how I felt, and he never made me say anything about it. We went to go get ice cream near my house, and I just remember the distinct feeling of wanting to race into the street to get hit by one of those speeding cars, but I didn't. I was so close to the edge, so close to losing it all. But he held me back. I remember him saying, "Abby, you're loved and important," which isn't something that I believed at the time. Not everything is going for us, me and you, but are you going to let that matter? You're too strong, too bold, too important to let that all go to waste. And that mattered a lot to me. So I should text him, maybe. Let him know that I'm here for him and that I care for him and I trust him, even though we haven't spoken in ages. I should try to make our relationship make sense again. Make my world make sense again with him right by my side.
It was a relatively normal day in Crane. 5-year-old me excited to finally go to the theme park to ride all the baby rides that always went on. We arrived, but something else caught my eye. Something I never noticed before. A big kid ride. They were bumper cars, but it didn't take much convincing for my mom to go on it, as my sisters were big enough to go on their own cart and she wasn't opposed to me riding it. These were no usual bumper cars, however. Unlike typical American ones, these had no inflatable ring that, established it as an actual bumper car instead of a car crash simulator. Nevertheless, my mom agreed I can go on it, but only if I waited for my aunt to come back. I threw a tantrum and made it extremely clear that I wanted to ride the bumper cars that instant. She agreed, so we hopped into the sleek red car. As I was buckling myself in, about to hear the click of salvation, my mom floored it, causing my chin to smack onto the fake dashboard and caused me to fly forward onto the rubber ground. She practically leaped out of her car and rushed to my side after prying my sisters from their car. We rushed to the nearest hospital, and before I knew it, I was knocked out cold on the frigid seafoam bed. I woke up eventually, loopy but fine, and there was no other incident for the rest of the trip. It was not until last year, when I was talking with my dad, that I found out that my stitches were made out of cat guts. So yeah, now I'm left with a sweet scar and an incredibly strange first memory.
Look, I'm just gonna put it out there. 5-year-old me deserved to be put in timeout. I mean, as a child, I was temperamental, stubborn, overdramatic, and overall egocentric. And there was even a time when I was 5 and I decided to turn a little game of hide and seek into a search and rescue for purposes of revenge. We were getting our house repainted, so all of our furniture was moved to the garage. And I thought it was so cool and decided to play giant dollhouse, but my mom said no, and I lost it on her, screaming, crying, throwing stuff, full-blown temper tantrum. So she left me in the garage to cry it out. After 10 or so minutes, she got worried and she came out to find me, but our garage was such a mess that she just couldn't find me. So while she searched for me, 5-year-old me decided that to get revenge for not getting my way, I was going to hide from her and my father. So for the next 5 hours or so, I hid in my bed, under my bed, in my closet, just anywhere a 5-year-old can think of, and my parents could not find me in all these very obvious hiding spots, so it was either they were really bad at this game or I was just the best hider ever. And after 5 hours, I was in my room when my mom came in on the phone with somebody, and I thought it was just a friend and no big deal until I heard her describing me and saying that I was missing, and I realized she was reporting me to the police. And I remember being terrified because I thought I was gonna go to little kid jail, and my mom would be devastated because she left me in the garage, even though I was the one who'd been hiding from her for all these hours. So with a heavy and racing heart, I decided that I was just gonna go pull up my big girl pants and turn myself in, and I went up to her, said, "Here I am, Mom." And I was terrified to the point of crying because I thought that I was going to be punished, and she held me by the shoulders and told me how my entire neighborhood had been looking for me because they thought I'd run away or worse. But then, instead of punishing me, she sat me on the couch and gave me a big slice of angel food cake and turned on my favorite TV show. And I realized that hiding all this time was pointless. I mean, winning and getting my way was overrated, and this was all I needed.
When we first met, it was like any other typical day at school for me. At the solitary playground bench, I sat alone. But then you came up and sat with me and started talking with me. And little did I know how much my life would change in that moment. Now, you might not have realized this, but to me, you're my best friend. I know, hilarious, right? We didn't have any classes together. We only always talked at recess. And despite how little time we realistically spent together, you still changed my life drastically. Now again, you might not have realized this, but before I met you, I was a shy, quiet kid who wouldn't really talk with other kids. But after my time with you, after conversing about our favorite video games and cartoons, I feel like I changed as a person. I became more outgoing and optimistic overall, and I think that was a really positive change in my life. Now, as you know, we eventually went to different schools, and I never did get to properly say goodbye to you. But in this moment, I want to thank you for everything that you might have not even realized that you've done for me. And so, right now, I just have one request for you, and that's to just keep doing what you're doing, because the little things you do might just be the thing that someone needs. Thank you.
Maybe one day I'll realize I dream too big. Or maybe I won't, because I have a strong desire to become president. Mom, I don't know if you've heard, but becoming president of the United States is not the easiest thing in the world. Sometimes I feel like I ought to just keep my mouth shut. And I know you and others around me think that too. I have too many opinions, but it seems like everyone gets enough of them. I don't understand why it bothers people so much when I speak what's on my mind, and I'm really just expressing myself. And you always taught me to be myself. Well, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. Although, there are plenty of people who act like me but never get called out for it. I guess that might just be how the world works. Some people need to keep their mouths shut, and others are allowed to speak. I think I've dreamt about becoming president more than a couple of times. Becoming president, it's just something that always seems to float back into my thoughts. I like to imagine that when I become president, I get to work with the most diverse group of people. Mom, do you think I just need to sit down and keep my mouth shut? If I give up on what calls to me, then everyone who doubts me will win. And I'll be ultimately crushed. The thought of that isn't pleasant, but what intrusive thought is? I think we'd all like to take that voice that tells us to give up out of our brains and call it a day. But we can't. We all have dreams. Mine is to become president, and yours is meaningful to you too. Somehow, we let everyone in the world who never even took a second to truly get to know us, change us, and pick on us,
and stop us from getting what we want. If that's how the world works, then I guess we might all just have to change how the world works.
My sister is not an angel. Far from it. Everyone always says that because she acts so sweet and nice when people are over. But as soon as they leave, she's a little demon. She pulls my hair, makes fun of me, mocks me, and screams in my ears till they bleed. Okay, fine. Sure, I think she's nice sometimes, but definitely not all the time. Come on, you have to believe me. Just last week, I was sitting on the couch doing arts and crafts like a normal 7-year-old. I made a pretty pink butterfly with sparkles and little heart antenna and... Right. I was sitting on the couch doing arts and crafts, and she came up to me and asked for a marker. So being the amazing sister I am, I gave her a marker. But she starts whining and complaining about how she wants the blue marker. I want the blue marker. I don't even have a blue marker, so that's what I tell her. But she insists that I'm hiding the blue marker from her. So you'd think at this point, she'd tell my mom that I'm hiding the blue marker from her, or just choose a different color marker. But no, this child sits on the floor and starts crying. My mom comes rushing in the room to see what's wrong. She's sitting there crying, fake crying, no tears, nada. But she looks up at my mom and goes, "Sissy tripped me. She should be in trouble." I didn't even do anything. I was sitting on the couch the whole time. But guess who got in trouble? Me. I did.